Now, this is just a shocker in the book, and it's one of those situations where you're just going, really? How does this even happen? McDonough decides that they're actually by the ocean. They're a couple miles from the ocean, and they all have their skin. They have jungle rot. Their skin, they get little infections. They got bug bites, and they're just all jacked up from this, from just living in this environment. And he knows. He says, if we get these guys to patrol down to the ocean, they can take a swim in the ocean. They can get out in the sun, dry some of their wounds off or what have you. So they go down there. He puts together the plan. He actually has to ask the guys to go, because they're saying, you know what, I'd rather sit here and just have bad skin than go out and have to do another patrol just to go swimming. And he kind of convinces a couple guys, hey, there's a couple guys that want to go. There's a couple guys that say, I'd rather not go. He convinces the guys to go. He puts together a plan. He wants to send some strong swimmers with the group. He's actually pretty aware of the danger of the ocean. He sends the guys down there. They get down there. And 2 of the guys drown and die. And again, we're going to hear some ownership here. James was the guy that was running the patrol. And McDonough says, I could not criticize James. He had not followed my instructions, but the fault was mine, not his. I had built the idea into a plan and then ordered its execution. In so doing, I had executed Spangler and Evans. I felt 100 years old. No tragedy in that God-forsaken country had hit me so hard. It was my fault. I was the cause of 2 deaths in the name of good intentions. I had talked those men into dying. I staggered under the thought. The cost of leadership had finally been too high, and I couldn't bear it. I didn't consider myself fit to lead, but the job was mine, and I couldn't quit. For better or worse, I had to do it. They get back to camp, and Wilson, who was good friends with Evans, one of the guys that had drowned, he says Wilson was crying. The loss of Evans, his close friend, had deeply affected him. Ashamed of his tears, he hunkered down behind his machine gun at the strong point on the south side of the perimeter. I spoke of Evans' goodness and tried to draw from that a benevolent interpretation of his death. Evans was at peace now, I told Wilson. He was no longer part of this nightmarish war. Although I couldn't follow the logic of my own words, they seemed to lighten Wilson's load. He began to talk. Together we groped for meaning in a man's death. I did my best to conceal my own skepticism and agreed with everything he said. Somehow we came to the conclusion that Evans' death was a good thing. It must be good if God willed it. By then I wasn't sure who was consoling whom. Sometimes words aren't important for their content, but only for their being said. And whatever we said that night seemed to be good enough for both of us. Although I couldn't excuse myself for the drownings, I realized that I owed it not only to Wilson, but the whole platoon to put the incident behind me.